We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you very much, Sina. Good morning, friends. Happy Sunday. And I'm happy to see all of you here this morning. Thank you for joining. My name is Reverend Michele Hojnacki. Sina, will you play our opening song? We are awakening while we greet one another on the chat board. Thank you, Sina. Our purpose. We are an assembly of equals joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self. Within the appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols, we seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. Our core value. We trust everyone is led by unique inner guidance to one experience called awakening, which is realization of one true self. We live this value by supporting one another on different paths of awakening. And now we'll have our announcements. And would you please, Sina, would you please play the song? Their invocation this morning is from A Course in Miracles lesson 264. I am surrounded by the love of God. Father, you stand before me and behind me, beside me, and in every place I see myself, and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes a meaningless belief. For what surrounds your son and keeps him safe is love itself. There is no source but this, and nothing is that does not share its holiness, that stands beyond your one creation or without the love which holds all things within itself. Father, your Son is like yourself. We come to you in your own name today to be at peace within your everlasting love. My brothers, join with me in this today. This is salvation's prayer. Must we not join in what will save the world along with us? This morning's inspirational reading is from The Unfolding Now, Realizing Your True Nature Through the Practice of Presence by A.H. Almaas, and it will be read by Sarah Hill. Thank you.
Thank you, Michele. Good morning to everyone. True nature and non-interference. Let's take a look at non-interference, keeping hands off, because it is one of the main keys to our practice. Non-interference is referred to in Chinese as Wu Wei, often translated non-action or non-doing. And the followers of Kashmir Shaivism call it Anupaya yoga. It is one of the tantric methods, and in that kind of yoga, it is usually reserved for the last stage of teaching. The instruction is this: do not do anything to anything. Just be present and aware, and whatever obstacle is there will dissolve to reveal its true nature. If you feel an emotion completely without adding anything to it, for example, it will transform to reveal its true condition, which is our true nature in one particular flavor or another. Some emotions lead to joy, others to compassion or strength or peace, all distinct qualities of our true nature. But that direct transformation can happen only if we are already present and aware and fully in touch with our true nature. Most of the time, however, we are not in that place. When we are in our usual consciousness, even if we can stay present with an emotion or manifestation, it doesn't immediately transform into its true nature. It usually transforms into another emotion or feeling. In other words, we must undergo a several-step process before the experience finally reveals its true nature. Plus, it has to be understood that an emotion is not just a simple reaction to whatever is happening in the present situation. Usually, the emotion has an entire history. If you just let that emotion be, it begins to reveal that history and its implications. So although true nature is always present, the infinitesimally thin barrier that separates emotional reality from true nature may contain 100 layers of history that are obscuring the truth. So realization of true nature is a gradual process. We need to remember that the revelation of our true nature is a process, so that we can be more realistic and more kind to ourselves about where we are. Thus, our practice is to just be aware of and present with whatever is arising, to let it be and not do anything to it except allow our natural curiosity to unfold it and reveal what it is about. That process will at some point reveal the ultimate nature of that emotion. As you notice, I didn't only say be aware, I said be aware and present. Awareness and presence are not two things, really, but if I only say be aware, you might think of that in terms of normal awareness, that is, observing experience from a distance, with the detachment of a subject viewing an object. When I say aware and present, I am saying present to what you are of. Present to what you are aware of, which means that you are not only noticing it, but you're also in contact with it. You are touching it, feeling it, sensing its texture and quality. You are not only looking at it from the outside, you are aware of it from the inside as well, and from all directions, from everywhere. So presence brings in the quality of immediacy of awareness, which means having no distance between the awareness and what we are aware of. Presence gives a sense of immediacy, of fullness, of hairness in the experience. It gives a sense of immediacy and directness that suffuses the experience, that pervades it and fills it, so that our awareness, our consciousness, is not only observing it from a removed place, but also from within it. It is as though our nerve endings were inside the experience, outside the experience, and in between. They are everywhere and feeling the experience in all its possibilities. That's when we really know the experience fully and completely. If we have that kind of awareness, then we recognize that to be aware of something is not just a function, and it is not just a capacity. The awareness, in fact, is our essential presence, our hairness, our substantiality. This points to something important about our true nature, our natural condition. True nature is indivisible. True nature cannot be divided. It doesn't have separate parts. It is not like a machine that has many parts, and it's not even like the body, which has many differentiated organs. Everything implicit in true nature exists everywhere within it. It is not as though true nature had love, for example, and this love is sitting in the gallbladder. It doesn't have a gallbladder. Love is everywhere in true nature, and so is awareness, and so is strength. All of true nature is one unified presence, and the same is true of awareness. True nature and awareness are inseparable, and that fact can serve as guidance for our practice. Presence, like true nature, is indivisible. It cannot be broken down into parts. It is unlimited, but not in the sense of being big, because presence has no size. It is unlimited in its qualities, possibilities, and potentiality. The reason this is important for our daily life is that when we are really being ourselves, we feel unified. We are whole, indivisible. There is no division, no contrariness within us. There are no parts opposing each other inside us. Whatever impression, image, thought, feeling, sensation, or form of experience we become aware of always emerges within our consciousness. It is in the field of our awareness. It is not that our awareness is aware of something other than itself. Whatever we experience is always part of the field of our awareness, manifesting as a particular form. Our awareness simply recognizes this change or this arising within it. If we consider our inner experience as it manifests in the forms of feelings, emotions, thoughts, images, impulses, desires, and so on, we see that these always arise within us as part of us. You could describe them as waves in a field of the same substance, or as wave modulations in the same kind of medium. Each wave arises with a certain flavor, texture, color, and quality that makes us experience it as one thing or another. But it is not as though our consciousness were a vacuity and some object pops out from it. It is not that we are separate, looking at that object as if it were something different from us. Whatever arises is always inseparable from us. We might not be aware of this if we don't yet know our true nature. But the moment we know our true nature, we recognize that everything arises within this true nature. Everything arises within this field, within this presence, and is not separate from it. So we realize that if we fight anything off that is in our experience, we are dividing ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Good morning again. I chose the A.H. Almaas reading this morning because it said something very intriguing and important to me about emotions. What Almaas says is, do not do anything to anything. Just be present and aware, and whatever obstacle is there will dissolve to reveal its true nature. If you feel an emotion completely, without adding anything to it, it will transform to reveal its true condition, which is our true nature in one particular flavor or another. Some emotions lead to joy, others to compassion or strength or peace, all distinct qualities of our true nature. And I have to acknowledge that at one point in time in my journey, I really thought that I was looking for something other than these qualities as my true nature. So when I read this, this says to me that when I'm willing to feel an emotion completely, without thinking about it, without judging it or resisting it or fighting with it, when I'm willing to be present with what is, all of its nuances, the emotion will transform to reveal a quality of true nature, and that this quality may arise as love, compassion, joy, peace. In my own spiritual practice, I seem to naturally drop into a meditative, contemplative form of self-inquiry when I'm contemplating spiritual teachings. And during contemplation, I become present with and I allow whatever arises. I don't censor anything. I just allow whatever wants to be seen to come to the surface. It's like following a thread, not knowing where it's going to lead or what's going to be discovered during the contemplation. For me, the purpose of meditative contemplation is to be fully with myself, with what feels real and true in the moment, to be curious with it, to explore it, and to let it speak and reveal what it will. My contemplation this past week was of lesson 264. And I really only altered the context of this contemplation to bring more clarity to it. So the initial response to reading this lesson was that it brought me to tears, because I know that the words that it's speaking are true, that they are indeed fact. And how I know this is that I had experienced them directly some years ago when I was on retreat with Regina in Costa Rica. During that retreat, I woke one morning in the full awareness and the full knowledge of the words written in this lesson. And I'd like to read it again. Father, you stand before me and behind me, beside me, in the place I see myself and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes a meaningless belief. For what surrounds your son and keeps him safe is love itself. There is no source but this, and nothing is that does not share its holiness, that stands beyond your one creation, or without the love which holds all things within itself. Father, your son is like yourself. So I lived in the full awareness that God is all that is for several days until it was time to return home. And then the mind kicked in, and over the course of the next couple of months, this awareness slowly began to fade away. And I have to tell you that I've wanted to know the reason why. Why did this seeing, this knowing fade away to only become a memory? In my contemplation of lesson 264, I found myself starting off with writing, only love is real. It is only the thoughts within the mind that rejects the truth. It is only the desire to be separate and apart from love that makes the appearance of a world separate and apart from love, oneness. God is in everything I see. To deny this is to deny the truth. But then I noticed how the mind grapples with this, and I felt guided to look up the definition of the word grapple. So to grapple with means to engage in a close fight or struggle. And isn't this what the mind is constantly doing when it tries to reconcile the world to truth? For the mind says, well, surely God is not in that appearance of war. But here's an irony that arose in my awareness. Would that war exist if I knew that everything is God, the one self? Who or what would there be to fight against? There would be no room for the thought of an enemy within the mind, because to conceive of an enemy would mean that I would have to divide the self into parts, and something other than wholeness would have to exist. A Course in Miracles and other teachings tell me this is exactly what has occurred. I have dreamt God, the one self, into an infinite number of parts, all separate from me. And I have dreamt that I could indeed be an enemy to the self in the form of a separate body-mind personality with differing beliefs and wills from mine. Again, ironically, reality remains in the same place where it has always been, right here. Reality is right here. It's my beliefs that everything is separate and distinct from me that camouflages reality from my awareness of it. It's like I am painting over reality with images I created, made of thoughts and feelings different from God's. And the images are so dazzling, so exciting, so horrific, so deadly, so beautiful, so lovable, so painful, so depressing, so desired, so unwanted. I have mesmerized myself. The dictionary says the word mesmerize means to hold the attention at the exclusion of all else. And isn't that what I'm doing with the mind? Using it like a filter? So when I was working, one of my functions was to submit our department's bills to accounting for payment. And I loved using spreadsheets to track the bills. Everything I could want to know about our expenses or about a particular vendor was at my fingertips. I could filter the data in my spreadsheets any way I wanted to. When I applied a filter to hundreds of lines of data, everything except what I wanted to see would become hidden. So, for example, if I wanted to see how much we spent for electricity over the past 11 months, out of 897 lines of data, only those 11 records would appear on my screen. The rest of the data available was hidden. It became invisible with a filter applied. When someone else looked at the spreadsheet with this filter on, they would think there were only 11 lines of data existing in the spreadsheet, because the other 886 lines of data would be invisible and inaccessible until the filter was turned off. So going back to the definition of the word mesmerize, it means to hold the attention on something at the exclusion of all else, because attention is transfixed upon my mind's own ideas of what is real, regardless of its actual reality. That's all that I am able to see and experience. It's like the filter applied in the spreadsheet. The thinking mind is doing the same thing. It shows me what I'm asking to see and hides from me everything else that does not match the criteria of my request. I am only aware of what I've asked to be aware of based on where I am placing my attention. Reality seems hidden, unknown, and inaccessible because the mind is filtering it out of my awareness. But that's what the ego mind was made to do, right? Filter reality out of awareness. So when I am so locked into beliefs, by giving them my undivided attention, there's no room for reality to seep in. When I look at what's happening in the world and believe, well, God couldn't possibly be there, not in that, I am placing a filter upon reality. Every belief is acting as a filter. When I believe I am lacking, there's a filter hiding reality. When I believe there's not enough, or someone has hurt me, or life should be different, or I've been victimized, or something is wrong with what is, I'm filtering out reality. These are just a few ways that it's happening. There are a myriad of beliefs in my mind that are all doing the same thing when I am giving them my believing attention. Reality is constantly bumping up against me, and yet I am unaware of it because my filters won't allow me to be aware of what is ever present. And as I'm seeing this, what's arising is an old familiar feeling, and it's the feeling of arrogance. And I am always amazed when I find that right here. This arrogance feels so strong, so deeply embedded. And I recognize this is another invitation to look at it, to see what it's up to. And as I look at this arrogance, I feel a sick gripping in my gut. And it feels almost too painful and shameful to admit how this arrogance works. And I recognize the part of me that does not want to see it. And so I just sat in breath with it for a few minutes, allowing it to come fully into focus. And what I saw is this is deeply painful, and there's a grief that accompanies this pain. Because what I see is that I have used the ego mind to blot out God. And then I blame God for being absent and rage at God for things being the way they are. I make myself God's victim. And it blows me away to see this so clearly, how I have made myself God's victim. I reflect for a moment on the times when I have shouted at God with fists pounding the air, yelling, "Where the hell are you?" But this distortion, this shutting God out, then blaming God for not being there, must be the definition of insanity. And it's all been unconscious. It's the great self-deception. The pain and grief I feel comes from the recognition of just how I have hurt myself unknowingly. And as I sit with this, a feeling of innocence, love, and compassion for myself arises. In my early life, no one told me not to believe my thoughts and emotions, or told me I was seeing life through a series of filters that made it appear as if God love was gone. Just the opposite. Everyone around me was trapped in their own ignorance, their own unknowingness. They believed their thoughts, especially the ones with strong emotions tied to them, and they made a devil to try to explain the absence of God love. We all accepted the ego's presentation of life as this is just the way it is, never questioning, living in a state of complete unawareness that our definition of reality was not at all true. Generation after generation accepted this reality. This forgetting is so ancient that no one is to blame. My feelings shift to embracing all of humanity with compassion and forgiveness. The words Jesus spoke echo in my mind. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Most people are going through life with these filters on, believing ego thoughts, reinforced by strong emotions, feeling victimized by life, and acting from that place. They don't know who they are or what else is available to them right here and now. I've been no different than them. A feeling of humility arises with the recognition that I cannot condemn anyone for their ignorance or how they act from it, for to do so would mean that I have to condemn myself too. Humility is saying, be the change you want to see. Arrogance blames others and looks outward at what they're doing wrong. Humility takes responsibility for itself and takes action to correct its own errors that cause suffering. It seems when I look deeply into whatever is arising, I penetrate its veils into a deeper truth. Humility penetrated transforms into humbleness. Humbleness evokes an image and a felt sense of an innocent, trusting child in the care of a wise parent. True nature. Her hand is gently yet firmly held, and she is being taken where she is to go. She does not need to know where or how she is being led. It is the job of the parent, true nature, to know, to guide. This humbleness is made of absolute trust, full submission, and allowing to be led. And it is carefree, as the trust in the one leading the way is complete trust. Humbleness is the surrendered will. It's giving myself over completely. This is why Jesus said, of myself I do nothing, yet the Father does all things through me. It's unquestioned faith in the loving guide leading the way. I can take a breath and relax into my complete dependence on and trust in this unseen love to guide me every step of the way. So this is what true nature wanted to show me through this meditative contemplation. It wanted me to see what the ego mind is doing, acting as a filter. All beliefs are ultimately untrue as they place a limitation upon reality. But going back to Almaas, he says, an emotion is not just a simple reaction to whatever is happening in the present situation. It has an entire history. If you let the emotion be, it begins to reveal that history and its implications. In my contemplation, arrogance arose, and I marvel at how many times I observe arrogance at the root of ego mind. By being aware of and present with the arrogance, another layer of feeling bubbles up to be seen. Beneath the arrogance was pain and grief and shame. And as they were witness to, their history and story unfolded. Once those feelings and story were fully embraced, true nature revealed itself as innocence, compassion, love, and humility. And it gave me another way of seeing, teaching me what humbleness truly is. Sina, would you please play our song, Feel It to Heal It by Nita Bowen? Friends, if you would like to donate to Awakening Together, Sina has already posted a link on our chat board. And I open at this time and invite anyone who would like to share to please do so.
Good morning, everybody. Michele, that was so, so lovely. And I wrote so many things down, and I related to just about everything that you said. It was just so, so wonderful on every level. One of the things that, excuse me, I really loved was this thinking of true nature as the parent. And I can leave it at that. Just that one sentence really resonated and gives me a lot to think about. Thank you so much.
Would anyone else like to share? Val, please.
Thank you, Michele. What really stayed with me was, to all I see, think, feel, experience, do, welcome. And, there's so many times I just get, resist, the opposite of welcome when things are hard. But it reminded me of Rumi's poem, The Guest House. Just welcome, creating space for it to see what it's here to teach me. And reminded me of this so important lesson that like one means one. Nothing is outside the one. The most difficult things we experience, the most difficult things I feel, nothing is outside of the one. God is my anger. God is insecurity. God is war. God is everything. So thank you for those reminders.
Thank you, Val. Laura Joy, please.
Yeah, just really what Val was saying and what you spent the entire time talking about, and just basking in the love that's here, that's accepting all of that and starting with that. I've said it in a few forums. I'll say it here again. Just we were encouraged just by Holy Spirit, just that many have traveled this path, and for many, self-love comes at the end. And if we start with that, we can in a way shift everything much more quickly. So thank you so much. Blessings.
Thank you. Karine, please.
Yes, I echo what has been said already, and I just wanted to add that I heard another teacher say that you will not know that you've been deceived until you're undeceived. And that's what I see. That's what I see. And that's what I welcome. And yeah, it's beautiful, and everything is grace. And when we have the willingness to yeah, that's it. Just have the willingness and allow grace to do its work, and it happens, and it's so beautiful, and it yeah, it is helping the suffering of the world to end. So thank you so much.
Diane, please.
Hello, Michele. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy I showed up today. Such an amazing explanation of how you do your contemplation, how you question yourself and you question and you allow the feelings to come up, and that you dig deep, like, you do the homework. And I see quite often for myself that I'll kind of do the homework in my mind, but I won't write it down. And so I see that and that's where the gem is when you write it down, because you read it again, you remind yourself that that's the truth. And you see that behind all these many layers, It was just a mistake, a mistaken identity. And that's what we've done all these generations after generations. And I see for myself, for even like being very compassionate towards my parents, my dad that committed suicide, and then my mom that's not. She's ill right now with Alzheimer, and I think she just wants to forget everything. So I see the importance of allowing to feel those emotions till the end of it. And I've been allowing myself to do that more. And sometimes it's very disorienting. But I see that that's the work. That's the work. And just to hold on to the Holy Spirit, hold on to the truth. So I just want to tell you how so grateful I am for your message today, and I love you very much. Thank you.
I just want to add that what I notice when I write, the benefit for me of writing is I go on a journey that I don't even know is there to be gone on. Like all of those things just unfold as I give my willingness to just sit and allow whatever wants to arise. And then I discover things that I wasn't even aware were there to be discovered. So that is what I see as the benefit of writing. And thank you.
I'm feeling a strong prompt, even though I'm self-conscious about speaking again. But what comes in so strong in the value of recognizing what the feeling experience is that it's actually desired experience, even though we might say we don't want it, that it's subconsciously desired and protecting that ego nugget. And if it doesn't get healed, then it will just keep protecting that ego nugget. So it's just so important to release the light that are being held in these by letting it come up and give into the light in however way that presents for each of us, is my experience and my teaching from my teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Donna, please.
Hi. It's so good to see so many old friends. What really pleased me about today's sharing was the topic of emotion. And I loved the initial reading by, I think it was A.H. Almaas, that when you stay with the feeling, and he so beautifully expressed, awareness and presence, that it transforms into true nature. And so I really loved that aspect of it. And in my own personal journey, I literally diverged from the ACIM NTI community at a point where I needed to go on my own journey of feeling. What I'm really interested in is awakening parallel to emotional and mental illness, because I've struggled with complex post-traumatic stress disorder. And so what this beautifully aligns with what Laura was saying was those suppressed emotions from the trauma of my early childhood protected that ego, and it was necessary at that time. But as we age and grow and evolve, these very immature parts of ourselves need to be released and felt. And the ACIM path wasn't appropriate for me at that point of divergence, because it is so much, for me, was very intellectual in dealing with the mind and the thoughts and the belief and that aspect of ego, which I love and which was absolutely relevant and helpful. And I love that I was able to go off and through other modalities, work with the emotions, particularly trapped in the body mind, those desires that were never fully expressed and felt. And to be able to come full circle, integrated as an authentic being in authentic true nature through working with the intellect and the mind and working through the emotions in the body-mind system. So that was really helpful to me, Michele. So thank you for the topic and for the initial reading and your sharing of how it worked in you.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining this morning. May the rest of your day be wonderful. After this, after the service, there is a gathering for anyone who would like to continue to share on the service this morning. And again, I invite anyone who would like to please donate to Awakening Together, because there's so many benefits that we receive from this community. It's really well worth our supporting it. So, Sina, would you play our closing song, which is Remember You Are Dreaming by Nada Bowen.
Been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.